Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of 23rd Mind TV. This is Summer Edition.
Welcome to the garden. And we are here to present a garden of delights also, all the stuff that's been happening and books we've published and things that are going on and things that will be going on. So, yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Indeed. Where to even begin? I would like to selfishly begin because I'm so proud, because just a few days ago, my first novel in Swedish was published. It's called Codex Nordica, and it has this beautiful painting that you've seen before, like in the previous episode, for instance, because this painting we have in the house, and it was painted by Gabriella Eriksson. The artist called River, and it's just amazing. So it makes me very happy that this book is finally out. It is in Swedish, but I hope that there are some Swedish-speaking people out there, or Swedophiles. And it's I like to call it a historical novel from the future. It's set in a dystopian future where Sweden again is like a feudal society, and it's a harsh environment, but there are some people striving to get back to or move forward to a real civilization, a civilization based in ideals, basically. So it's an adventure story, and it's been wonderful to write and work with. And again, this cover image really says a lot about the book. I really love it. So that's it. Check out Codex Nordica, whether you read Swedish or you don't. Just get the book. Thank you very much, and I'm sure and I hope that you will enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to read it. This is the first time Carl's put out a book that I haven't read, and so I'm learning Swedish while I'm reading the book, and so I'm reading it very slowly, but I can say so far it is excellent. I was riveted since the first page.
Thank you. And for those of you who don't read Swedish or don't like to read books, there's also this that came out also recently. It's a photo book, some pictures I took in Russia in 2007. It's called Free of the Darkness, 136 photographs from Russia. And it's basically what happened was that Cotton Ferox, myself and Thomas Tibert, we were invited to tour in Russia. We played in Moscow and St. Petersburg and Yaroslav, and it was wonderful. It also dawned on me when I was there that this is just an amazing place for a photographer, for someone who's looking at this. And I just snapped away like I usually do, but I found it to be a very rich environment because there are so many contrasts. It's very colorful, very emotional. You could see where the discrepancies are, and you could see where the joys are. So basically, I took a lot of pictures, and now that Russia is so much in our consciousness, mostly for bad reasons, I decided to put these things, my favorite pictures from that trip together. So I put together 136 photographs from Russia, and they are presented in this book called Free of the Darkness. And now I see there's a bit of rain going on here.
Yeah, there is.
It's raining. What should we do?
And we're back. Now we're inside, and now we're sitting in front of River's amazing painting, which is the cover art for Carl's new book, Codex Nordica. And before, when we were sitting outside, we were sitting in front of our cottage that's located on our beautiful property. And it just had a little bit of a rain shower. It's a sun shower, but too much water for a computer. So we decided to come inside. But we wanted to tell you also a little bit about our cottage, because it's located right in the city center, right in the center of our town where our house is located, which is the old town of the city of Vimmerby. And we've turned it into an Airbnb. So if you want to stay in Vimmerby and hang out with us, you're more than welcome to rent the cottage.
That's right. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place filled with old buildings and very nice people.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about the house?
Well, it's from the mid 18th century, and it's in pretty good shape. It has 4 beds in total, and a kitchen and a shower and restroom, all the things that one needs to be comfortable, and also TV and things like that. But mainly, it's a very very nice place to be if you're working on something creative. It's a good place to rest and relax, basically, because it has been here for almost 300 years, and it's sort of, you can feel it just like our own house in a way. It's very old, and it feels like life has passed through it for a long time, and it's a very pleasant feeling, I think.
Yeah, the main part of our main house was built in 1728. So soon we'll be celebrating the 300th year anniversary of this house, which is
Yeah.
a lot to celebrate.
Yeah.
And we're located on a little cobblestone street, and we have a barn and a beautiful garden. And yeah, it's a beautiful place to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And what should we talk about in terms of, let's talk about collaborations. You'll be working again with wonderful British musician Pete Murphy.
Yeah, Pete Murphy and I have 2 albums that just came out. The first one is Night of the Hunter, and the second one is The Sexual is Provocative, and they're both on Highbrow Lowlife and available at our Bandcamp page. And once again, I sent Pete Murphy some lyrics that I recorded, which is me reading my cut-up poetry, and he mixed them up, cut them up, and changed what I was saying into what he wanted me to be saying, which is really fun for me to see, and made these great albums out of our music.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. And also some of the tracks, or actually most of the tracks on one of the albums, they're really short. They're little snippets in a way. And that's also an interesting concept, where you leave the sort of the comfort and safety of the 3-minute composition and make them shorter. Yeah, I really enjoyed those. But another collaboration in terms of visual stuff is with Steven Klein, who regular 23rd Mind TV viewers and listeners know from this book. He had visual work in Tripartisan Review #1, and in Amok, his own book of conceptual writing, surrealist writing. And what was it that you did with Steven recently?
So Steven sent me some collages that he began, and I collaged on top of them. So now we have collaborative collages going on. And then I sent them back to him. I just noticed this morning he sent me a message that he received them. And then I also sent him beginnings of new collages that he could work on. And his wife Hazel's also going to collage onto them as well. So now we have a collaborative collage pieces going on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And all you people who know about us and our work know that we really appreciate that kind of attitude, where nothing is really finished. We could just keep going, possibly indefinitely, in the sense of remixing, rebuilding, restructuring, and just adding things, possibly subtracting things too, to things that we have. So, it's just a very, very interesting flow of creativity.
Yeah, we love these kinds of collaborations, and I've sent some vocals to a couple of other people as well. So in the future, I will let you know about those projects when they're ready to announce. As always, the best way to keep on top of all of this is at our Patreon, because our Patreon community gets to hear everything first and see everything first, and we always post everything there first. So, and we talk about them more in depth and these kinds of magical creative processes on the 23rd Mind level. Every Monday we have our Magic Monday, and we talk not only about kind of traditional witchcraft practices and chaos magic, but also about artist magic.
That's right. And so Patreon is the central hub in a way, but you should also sign up for our respective newsletters, because they are both a great way of catching up with all the things that are going on.
Yeah, and I'll link to those in the text accompanying this episode as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have also been incredibly busy with rendering unconscious, and for a long time. So now you've actually hit the beautiful spot of
200 episodes of Rendering Unconscious. That's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So you have a lot to listen to, and if you haven't heard them all, you have a lot to catch up on. For the 200th episode, my dear friend and stellar colleague Laura, she had the idea to interview me for the 200th episode instead of me interviewing someone. So that was really sweet of her, and it was a wonderful idea, and that's what we did, and we had a lot of fun. And she asked me a lot of questions, and we got into areas I hadn't really thought about, and so it was really interesting. It was really nice to have the tables turned in that way. So thank you, Lara.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing effort to have made the 200 episodes. I am way behind with Partisan Radio, but recently I finished the 5th episode, and again that's with Gabriella River, and we talk about her work because she's also featured in Partisan Review, and again, see this is trippy. We like her stuff, and so we talked about her work in general, origins, sources of inspiration, and also Gabriella River will be presenting a paper at our upcoming conference in Copenhagen in October. It's called Visionary Medium: The Psychoanalysis and the Magic of Cinema, which will be, as the name says, based on film and the visionary and psychological qualities of film. So Gabriella will be presenting there. Also Gustav Broms will be presenting there, and many other people. We will, of course, and that's something that you can read more about in our Patreon posts, and also, of course, in our newsletters. That will be a very interesting conference because it's been actually 3 years since the latest one in Murano in Italy, and it's horrendous when you think about it, but things have been quite unusual, and now we're catching up to a normal flow of normal, things that we do, and we have missed making a conference. I have missed that, and it's going to be fun to get together with people again and hear interesting papers, and then eventually collecting these papers into a new issue of the Fenris Wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's horrendous. It's been 3 years. It was 3 years between the first two conferences, right, and there was no pandemic then. So maybe it's just kind of how things are paced. Things are paced, they happen in their own time. And speaking of that, the Fenris Wolf that's coming out from the Murano conference in 2019 is about to come out as well.
Yeah, that'll be out in about a week from now, meaning end of June. Fenris Wolf 11 will be out collecting all the papers from the Murano conference.
So that's exciting. It'll be really fun to read all of those and revisit them.
Yeah, no, it's a great issue indeed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as far as books that are coming out in the fall, 2 of the people that contributed to the book that I edited on Ingmar Bergman, Psychoanalytic Perspectives on the Films of Ingmar Bergman, a Freudian Lacanian Lens, Peter Janssen and Pablo Lerner both contributed to that book, and they also have agreed that they will be presenting at the conference in Copenhagen in October. So we have a few artists confirmed and a few analysts confirmed, and we'll have some crossover between the fields, and of course, be talking about magic. So you can find all the information about that conference at the Psychoanalysis, Art, and the Occult website, psychartcult.org, under the tab for Visionary Medium. Yeah. And the other thing that's going on as far as Psych Art Cult is our Morbid Anatomy series, which is ongoing. We have an event every month, and we've been doing this since last year. And the next one is coming up this Sunday, June 19th. We're having a very special event for Juneteenth, celebrating and honoring liberation and liberatory practices. And we have our dear friend Langston Kahn presenting his work on liberation and working with ancestors, and a way to work with them in preparation for the future that we're all building together, which seems like it's going to be a bit different than what things have been, which I think is a good thing. And then also presenting alongside Langston is another dear friend, David Sheik, and he's just written a book about shamanism and practices in kind of Northeast Asia, and Mongolia, and that sort of region. And his ancestors stem from that area. He wrote a book about it and kind of where shamanism itself and that word stems from. And he's going to be presenting his work on that. So that's June 19th, this Sunday at 2:00 New York time, which is online, and it's available through Zoom, and you can either sign up at Morbid Anatomy's website, morbidanatomy.org/events, or you can always join their Patreon. For $5 a month, you get access to all these events recorded. But of course, it's always nice to have you there live while we're there, and you can interact with us and ask questions and talk to the presenters.
And something else that's really interesting and is coming up is later in the year, in December, we are actually taking part of a retreat in Bali, in Indonesia. That's going to be amazing. It's organized by our friend Jay Cobrin, who had the wonderful Magic 101 online workshop in which I presented and took part of that. And it's now grown to become something else that will manifest itself as a beautiful retreat in Bali, where Jake is, and preparing for interesting classes, workshops, excursions, building community, and again, in this beautiful intersection between art and magic that we are so immersed in, and we are looking forward a lot to going there. Information about that you can find in the show notes for this episode.
Yeah, the best thing to do is DM Jake at Instagram, which I'll link to his Instagram, so you can ask him any questions that you want. He's going to keep it a really small community, so it's really intimate rituals and intimate experience. And I know he said if you sign up early, you get like a big discount. So definitely contact Jake and check that out. We're very excited to go to Bali.
Yep. Especially in December. And then we have been featured on some interesting places too. One is the blog Fruit of the Spirit magazine. Also, you can find the link in the show notes, where we both talked about our practice and practices and things that inspire us, and how we began, and how about childhood issues that led to creativity and things like that. It's very interesting. We like to be interviewed, that's for sure.
And then we also have had our music featured on Radio Panique. So you can check out radiopanique.org, and they have really great shows. I discovered this on Twitter when they tagged me that they'd played some music from Pete Murphy and I's new album. And then I found they'd played some other stuff of mine and Carl's in the past. And in the current episode, White Stain Sweet Jane track is on there as well. And the shows are really fantastic. They're really up my alley. They're a great mix of music, all along the kind of dark experimental music, avant-garde kind of scene. So definitely check it out. I've learned of some new artists that I hadn't known about before. And of course, there's some old classics there as well. So it's really fantastic. And
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, he said that he put Sweet Jane on there because you've been talking about it when you've been interviewed about your LaVey book so much on all these different podcasts. Yeah. So I want to talk about that a little bit as well.
Absolutely. It's been a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of work. I've been on so many podcasts now, I've lost track. And it's great, of course. The book is doing well. Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan, Infernal Wisdom from the Devil's Den, which has been out for, not too long, but long enough to make a dent or a bump. Or
I guess it's only been out for a couple of months.
Yeah, exactly. But it's getting a lot of exposure, and I'm happy about that, and it's doing well. And one of the things that I'm usually asked is, how did this happen? How did I get to meet LaVey in the first place? And it's a long story, but that song, Sweet Jane, that I recorded with my band White Stains, in 1987-88, came out on record. It was the first record I ever made, and Genesis Peorage suggested I send it to LaVey because it features LaVey in the lyrics and the relationship with Jane Mansfield. Interesting stuff. I didn't expect anything from that, but I did send it, and then I got a letter back from LaVey. He was very appreciative and happy about it, and he also made me a member of the Church of Satan, and that's also how we struck up our friendship. And I went to see him and Blanche in San Francisco the following year in 1989, and the rest, as they say, is history. and much fodder for contemporary podcasts, it seems. So Sweet Jane, an out-of-tune rock and roll song can actually change things in people's lives.
Yeah, but it's the passion of youth.
Yes, exactly.
You were into it,
Yes.
and that it's led you places. So
Yeah.
that's why you have to, go with whatever you're excited about, whatever excites you, run with it, because you never know where it's going to lead.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's really it.
Yeah, and I've been listening to the audiobook actually of Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan while I've been taking my daily walks, because Carl puts out so many books and it's hard for me to keep up with them. And of course, I'd seen the film and I was with him when he interviewed most of these people that are included in the book and the film, but I hadn't sat in on the interviews. I was always kind of in another room, so I didn't get to hear everything that everyone had said. So it's been really fun to listen to the entire interviews and get to hear everyone's entire stories and everything they had to say. Right now I'm on the chapter with Xerxes LeVay, and it's just so great to hear everyone and their perspectives. Everyone's got a lot of similar themes that they talk about and a lot of kind of differences and different things they've gotten out of LeVay and his work and his legacy. So it's been really fun to listen to, and it actually has got me out of the house and exercising more because I want to know what happens next.
So listening to my books is good for your health, for your physical health also.
Absolutely. I've also been reading and catching up on the interviews in different people, because some of them I had read, but I hadn't read all of them. So I've been catching up on those as well, kind of in my free time. And it's really nice too, because they're different interviews with different people each chapter, and they're not that long. So when I have some time, like, if I have an hour in between sessions or something like that, I've been reading a couple of interviews and learning about all these different interesting people. So thank you, Carl, for putting out all these great books.
You're welcome, and thank you for reading them.
And I feel like I also have to mention Lupe, because her art is right here.
Yeah.
A fantastic Brazilian artist. We have several of her pieces, and I'm going to link to her Instagram as well, and her Facebook. But she has a great newsletter whenever she has new pieces up for sale. She posts them in her newsletter first so people can order them. And she's actually in a show right now that Stephen Romano is putting together at the Buckland Witchcraft Museum that your friend runs. So definitely check that out too.
A lot of things going on all the time.
And we'll link to everything because there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else?
I think that's
of course, I brought this.
Oh yeah, of course.
I recently bought this fantastic fragrance, and I wanted to make sure that I mention it because it's so amazing, and these bottles are so beautiful. And Aisha puts such beautiful love and care. It's Maison Shehu, and our friend Aisha Shehu-Ansell put together these great fragrances. She took a lot of care in putting them together, and I wear it every day, and it's fantastic. So
it smells good.
Thank you, Aisha. And you recognize her last name, Shehu-Ansell, from Fulgur, of course. She's an integral part of Fulgur with her husband, Robert Shehu-Ansell. And so you should definitely check out whatever Fulgur's got going on now as well, because they're always putting out amazing stuff.
Yeah, indeed.
And I'll link to her Instagram as well. Anything else?
I don't know. It feels like we're always forgetting something, but it's. I think we've covered.
Next time.
Yeah, exactly, and we've covered most of the current stuff that's going on right now. So, enjoy your summer and enjoy them with great books and records.
I know what else I should mention just in case, because we don't know when we're going to record this again. So we have the Morbid Anatomy coming up on June 19th with Langston and David. And then the next one is July 17th, which is me and Charlotte Rogers. And we're going to be both talking about our practices working with death and necromancy. Hers is the Atavistic Network. She, of course, creates these amazing sculptures where she finds like dead and discarded items and puts them together and gives them new life. So she's going to be talking about her magical creative practices. Those are also featured in Partisan Review, Charlotte's art. So check that out there. And then I'm going to be talking about working with adopted and blood ancestors in necromantic practices. So that's going to be a Morbid Anatomy event in July. And then I also want to mention the August event. We're having Mary Wild, who's of course a superstar and has been in a lot of our Morbid Anatomy events because she always has some great stuff to talk about with psychoanalysis and film. And I also wanted to mention that she has an event at the Freud Museum in London. She does her projection series and she has her projections podcast. And she has her next projections event at the Freud Museum London. It's also in July, and it's going to be talking about shrinks on film, so different ways that shrinks are portrayed on film and TV. And it's a really fun topic. I know personally because Mary has a great Patreon, and she invited me to be a guest. You've been a guest on her Patreon as well.
Yeah.
Where she puts out original content every Friday on her Patreon that you can only get there. And she asked me to come and talk about shrinks on film with her. So we had one episode where we talked for over an hour about shrinks on film, and then we had another one where we talked about shrinks in TV series. And it was so much fun talking about this and all the cringy ways that shrinks are portrayed in the media. Maybe we deserve it, honestly, I don't know. But I'd like to think we're better than that, at least some of us. But anyway, it was really fun talking to Mary about that. And you should definitely join her Patreon and listen to those episodes and all the rest of her great content, and check out her series at the Freud Museum and her projections podcast as well. And now I think that about does it.
Yeah. Have a great summer and enjoy yourselves. And
we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.